Leroy, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated characters in Tekken 8, and I think it's actually mad criminal that people don't play Leroy as much as I think they should. Now, it's no surprise to anyone that Tekken 8 has no weak characters. I think everyone agrees that every character in this game is fucking insane, and Leroy also makes that list. Leroy is mad strong in Tekken 8. But still, you just don't see that much Leroy representation in Tekken 8, and it's been like this since the game launched. Leroy has also stood in the bottom 5 least popular characters in ranked since the launch of the game. Now, there are so many different factors that contribute to this, but for this particular video, I just want to showcase what makes Leroy so good in this game and why I think you should pick up this character if you're thinking about trying some other character in ranked, maybe tired of using your main, try to switch up your character list, try playing some Leroy. Okay, so first things first, what stands out as the most strongest thing about this character is his massive amount of defensive options at point blank range. Leroy is so good defensively in this game. And in a game filled with so much offense, it's actually very valuable to have a character that excels at having so many different defensive tools. So at 10 frames, he has 1, 1, 1 plus 2, 1, which is a 10 frame counter hit confirmable string. So think of Dragunov's 1 to 1, for example, although this one is not a hit engager, but it's way easier to hit confirm or to counter hit confirm than Dragunov's 1 to 1. So already this makes him an insane character, right? We all know how strong 10 frame CH confirmable strings are, right? Raven 1 to 4, Laz 1 1 1, Eddie 1 to 4, same thing. But I think Leroy has the best because it's way easier to hit confirm than all those I've also mentioned. Maybe Law actually is the best because it's a 10 frame, counter hit launcher in hit, but this one is also mad strong, 40 damage, nothing to scoff at. He has back 1 plus 2. The only character with a 12 frame mid counter hit launcher. Insane, you just can't mash buttons against Leroy at point blank range because these two defensive options on their own carry Leroy defensively. So yeah, just mad strong. He has back 1, a safer option, alternative to back 1 plus 2. Of course, back 1 plus 2 is unsafe at minus 12, right? So as an alternative, you can use back 1. This is a high, but it is safe and comes out at 13 frames. So yeah, some really good counter defensive tools. So he also has an orbital, right? One of the best orbitals in the game. Basically just as good as Brian's, honestly. Maybe Brian is a bit stronger because he does crush some jabs in some situations. But this orbital is still as annoying to deal with as it was back in Tekken 7 and still as strong. So if you've played Brian, you know how difficult it is to approach that character having that goddamn orbital, right? And same thing applies to our boy here, right? That orbital is just mad strong and does a shitload of damage. So you can see, guys, his defensive options are just out of this freaking world. It doesn't end there. Leroy also has some of the best parries in the game, if not the best, right? He has back 2, which can parry everything, weapons, elbows, knees, punches, everything. Back 2 can parry. Only weakness is grabs and of course being baited. He also has up forward 1 as our alternative version to back 2, basically the same as his back 2 parry, but it's a built-in attack, so like a sabaki, right? So okay, his back 2, right? You can get a just frame version for some big ass damage. Okay, pam pam pam. Then you have the up forward 1 as well, which acts just like back 2, but it's an attack. It's a built-in attack, so it's kind of like an interrupting move and a parry at the same time. It's a very strong defensively, so I kind of use it as your, what am I doing, bro? I haven't played this game in a bit. So you kind of use it as your panic move, right? Back 2 for hard reads, upward 1 as a panic move, and the pushback is amazing as well, just so good defensively. He also has down back 1 plus 2, built-in sabaki as well. This becomes a launcher in hit also, right? Insane. So Defensive options, Leroy has you covered. You can disrespect so many characters in this game, hit engagers, boom, check them with 1-1, right? Pressure, 1-1. So in a game filled with so much offense, defensive utility is in high demand, and Leroy actually is one of the best characters at having those defensive tools at close range. Now, like I said, this is his biggest strength. I've always said Leroy excels at being close to characters or close to being in the opponent's face, right? You want to be point blank range because that's why his big moves are, right? Then he suffers a lot at max range because you don't have anything at this range, right? Your 4-4-3, which is a high launch punishable, so it can be ducked and launched. 4-4-4 can easily be stepped. Pack 3+4 is good, but not as much range. 4-4-2-2, launch punishable on block. So you don't have a good long range poke like Jin 4-4-2. Demon, for example, they took away his 4-4-1+2. Rip, I miss that move so much. So that's Leroy's biggest weakness, the max range. So at point blank range, he's a god. I think he's a god, one of the best characters in the game at point blank range, but at max range, space him correctly and he suffers a lot. One thing he also suffers from is tracking at close range. He only has back 4 and back 3 as his go-to homing moves, and not a lot of stuff tracks well with Leroy. The next best thing you have for Leroy as a tracking move is down back 3. It has some decent tracking as well as down 1+2. So it's called boom, down 1+2, and the second one should be boom, down back 3, right? So play, step left, you see, step left again, step left. It has some tracking, down back 3 that is, but overall at close range you have to worry about getting stepped, and his homing moves are not that great. I'll be honest, back 4 doesn't do too much compared to characters like Nina or even Claudio back 1. This just does nothing, doesn't even feel good to use. I think this move needs some love, but it's still a decent homing move. But if you find yourself getting stepped a lot, you have no choice but to use back 4. And then back 3, I feel is very strong at range 2, right? Because no one is going to duck at this range, but at close range it's a bit reactable. Sidestep duck really beats this a lot, but honestly this move is kind of insane on its own because it has a huge payoff. The payoff is fucking ridiculous. So on block it's -9, so it's +9, right, which is insane. Then on hit it's +16, so you get guaranteed 1+2, get guaranteed 4 1+2, and guaranteed PMK. So it's worth actually throwing this out at close range as well because the payoff is just too good. It's nothing to scoff at, right? So he might not have the best homing moves in the game, but like when stuff like this hits, it's wraps. It's wraps, actually wraps. So that's like Leroy's biggest weakness, right? The max range, and his homing moves are kind of ass at close range as well. So that's something you must look out for. But again, if you just play it correctly, guys, this character is kind of insane. And of course, I can't even talk about his stance pressure because we all know how sick Hermit is, right? His Hermit pressure is just insane. It's insane. So good, they gave him his new SS3+4 as well. Is now +3, used to be +5, but still insane for pressure. You can check them with the 4, which is a mid. You can check them with the 2 as well as a frame trap. So his SS3+4 pressure is kind of ridiculous as well. So you mix that up with SS4, right? SS4, SS3+4, SS1+2 as well. You just have an insane pressure game with Leroy. Not many counters to this character at close range. Like, yeah, it's a guessing game, guys. This shit, right? What do you do after this? Right? You guess orbital or low, right? But of course, they do come with risks. This, of course, being launch punishable, low high. This being mix up on block. People say it's strong. I'd rather have something deterministic where I know if I get blocked, I get punished. Not being a mix up on block. Not a huge fan of that, right? So, and then his hit as well. Now, Leroy's hit changed in the sense that it used to be one of the best hit mechanics in terms of chip damage, right? Boom, but they took that away. They reduced the amount of chip damage across the board for every single character in the game. Kind of like Alisa in Chainsaw Stance as well, doesn't do as much chip damage. So this aspect of Leroy is not as strong as it used to be, right? Doesn't do as much chip damage as possible. But what they gave him in return was back 1+2, and this move is fucking broken. So I spoke about how back 1+2 is the only 12 frame mid counter hit launcher in the game, right? So when this man goes into hit, it now becomes safe at -9, has insane pushback, knocks down on normal hit for guaranteed up 40+4 1+2. Then on counter hit, it does a shitload amount of damage, right? A shitload amount of damage. Whoa, something I've talked about already, right? Insane stuff. Boom, bam, 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 bam. This basic combo 115, half of your health is gone. So yeah, this is something that needs to be nerfed. Honestly, I don't understand why shit like this is in the game in the first place, but you can see why I say despite them nerfing the chip damage in his archetype of being this, chip damage, you go to the Wing Chun punches, which I loved, by the way, they still gave him this, which is just downright broken, right? So his hit is still strong despite the overall nerf to chip damage. So that's a basic 101 tips, guys, on why Leroy is insane in this game. People underrate him a lot. Now, of course, comparatively to the rest of the cast, or at least most of the cast, Leroy just can't keep up, but still that does not mean he's a bad character. Of course, again, there are no bad characters in the game, but I still think he's underrated, man. He is so underrated. This character is strong, and unfortunately, we haven't seen that much representation at high level outside of Breadman, but Breadman has been cooking with Leroy since season 1, right? So until the day comes when we get some actual Leroy representation at high level, is when people will see, okay, this character is actually not as bad as I thought he was. So that's my take on Leroy. I also talked about why he isn't as popular anymore as he was back in Tekken 7. Now, of course, this has to do with identity. We all know how Leroy just came super fucking broken back in Tekken 7. The fact that he was so easy to play, right, and so freaking strong, no one loved that about the character. And so I think that has built a huge, a bad reputation on Leroy, and why he isn't really used as much in this game. Because honestly, it doesn't really make sense to me. People complain about having so many weapon characters in Tekken, characters like Victor, Clive, how Tekken isn't Tekken anymore. There aren't any martial arts characters. Like, bro, Leroy is fucking Wing Chun. He's right there. People that have seen IP Man, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you have not seen IP Man or Ip Man, please check it out. Maybe that will get you inspired to play Leroy. Pure martial arts, right? Has massive aura. Like, look at this fucking character. Like, look at the aura, bro. Look at the aura. He's so sick, right? So play some Leroy, boys. Maybe you'll find yourself enjoying this character, cause man, oh man, do I think Leroy is good, and again, is mad slept on. Now, before I close this video, any changes I would like for Leroy if season 3 drops and they do some massive balance changes? Honestly, I would want hit back 1+2 gone. This is too broken. Player hit, players play. There we go. It's too broken, so this should go, or just reduce the damage scaling on this move. It's just ridiculous. It's too fucking strong. I don't think back 3 should guarantee a pimp cane. I know the pimp cane is once per match, but guys, come on, this is a bit too strong, right? So I think this should go as well. Honestly, it's a bit too fucking strong. And that's pretty much it. I think everything else is good with this character. Everything has risk and reward, right? Strong lows like this are punishable. Maybe down back 3 shouldn't be a mix-up on block, right? But all in all, I think he's in a good place. I would want down back 4 to go back to being -14. I think being launch punishable is a bit too much. And they need to buff his neutral game, right? So give me back my down back, my T7 down back 4, make it -14. And then I would want a better mid. Back 3+4 was a good idea, but it's not satisfying to do, right? Does nothing on counter hit, So it needs to at least knock down on counter hit, or maybe give Oki, because people don't use this, right? I've never seen Braidman actually use back 3+4 outside of a ground hit as for Oki. So give me a better mid. Honestly, I would want, and I keep saying, I would want my forward 1+2 back. I would want this back and bring back his old Tekken 7 power crush. I think it was down back 1+2, right? To give him back a good power crush. So yeah, that's the only thing I would want for Leroy. I spoke about 4-4-3 last time, how I would want this to be homing to kind of, you know, not technically fix his long range weakness, but give him a good option at long range, because this is still useless. The homing, the tracking is actually ass on this. It does a ton of damage on hit, but yeah, the tracking is kind of bad. So I'd rather take a homing move and then just make it so that just knocked down like it did before, but make it homing, right? -9 on block, I'll take it. If you want to bring back my 4-4-1+2, then give me 4-4-3 homing, or just bring back 4-2 homing. Also, I would want that back if you want to give me 4-4-1+2 or 4-4-3. So anyway, boys, just a brief discussion on why I think this man is super underrated. Such a cool ass character in my opinion, despite the history. Kind of insane how not many people are playing him still, and why I think you should pick him up. Just try him out and you'll be surprised. Leroy is actually mad fun and insanely strong, at least in my opinion. So anyway, boys, any fellow Leroy mains, how are you feeling about our boy? Are you still grinding Leroy in rank or just playing him in general? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section as usual. I apologize for the audio, guys. My laptop is actually dead. My phone mouthpiece is dead as well, which was my backup recording tool. So now I'm recording directly from the console, as maybe you have noticed. I just need a better microphone, honestly, but I kind of need the money, so I apologize for putting out this shit audio. It's kind of wild for your boy. I need a new laptop, I need a new phone. It's wild, but hey, I gotta pump out the content anyway. So anyway, boys, thank you so much as usual. Take time to watch my video. If you made this far, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and as usual, may the friend be ever in your favor. GG, enemy gang, GG.